Hello, this is Sheryl Willis over at eXp Realty coming at you with the monthly market update for May of 2024. Let me tell you, there's just a lot of no information. Like it's just so boring out there right now in reference to real estate. So let's talk a little bit more about maybe just what's going on in the market overall. So if we look at what's going on in the greater Phoenix area, we are still slated to be the #1 job creator in America over the next 10 years. In fact, they are estimating that we will see another million people over the next 10 to 12 years moving to the greater Phoenix area. And of course, everybody is saying, first of all, where are these companies going? We have a map here. You can see where they're going to be along the freeways. You always, from a business perspective, are looking basically at transportation, also the local economy for the area, housing, the people that make that much money in this area, can they afford housing in the commute shed, etc. So that's going to kind of dictate where the home buyers are going to be going, because again, you're watching this for housing information. So if we look at the market growth and we break apart the Phoenix area and we look at the different segments, you can see where we're going to see the majority of the growth. Now, a lot of people tend to still very much gravitate towards the Southeast Valley, but I'll be honest with you, it's getting a little pricey, not going to lie. If we look at the population density, you can see where the majority of the people are growing. Like I said, it's in the center, the core, and we're still seeing it in that Southeast Valley. When we look at the employment density, it explains why people are moving to these particular areas. Again, in and around the center core, but I'll be honest with you, most people don't want to live in the center core of the greater Phoenix area. But those suburb areas, but it's a very big difference. If you work in North Phoenix, you're not going to want to buy a home in Laveen. If you work in the Surprise Northern Glendale part, you're not going to want to live in Tempe. You definitely are very regional now when you live in the greater Phoenix area. In fact, I'm going to be coming out with a video here soon about explaining the different areas. So when we look at where that growth potential is going, it is continuing to grow further southeast. So just to let you know, over the next decade, though, we're going to see the majority of the people moving to the west part of the valley. That's going to be mostly the distribution centers, the manufacturing facilities, and also more affordable housing on the west part of the greater Phoenix area, which leads me to just overall affordability. Affordability is a conversation you're seeing nationally, everywhere. Let's just face it, between inflation and rental costs being so high, it is very, very unaffordable right now these days to buy a home with the higher interest rates, which again, that's what the purpose of the higher interest rates are, to slow down the spending. I know many people are expecting home prices to go down, and we're going to get to that in just a moment. But let's focus on the affordability part. So when you look at Phoenix as a totality, it is still somewhat affordable. It's just not as affordable as like Kansas or Nebraska. And then when you compare it to certain states, like for instance, Atlanta, or that would not be a state, Georgia, or even Florida or Texas, we have higher housing costs, but we also have lower other costs like property taxes, some sales tax. I'm not saying every state, and income tax, but also homeowners insurance. That is becoming a crazy number in some of these high disaster prone states. Texas, as of right now, is still getting massive hail, like softball hail. Florida, we have hurricane season still to come later this year. We're seeing floods in the Northeast. We're seeing fires in California. So Arizona is not oblivious to higher insurance rates, but we don't have those natural disasters. So we haven't seen as much of a ouch comparatively. That's all I got to say. Comparatively, the people that are living here, we're all bitching. We're all complaining about it. It's terrible. Meanwhile, here in the greater Phoenix area, we're seeing some overall very good numbers. We have an extremely low unemployment rate, 2.5%. We are also seeing a very strong labor force, which I'll be honest with you, again, That's what's kind of keeping some of the inflationary numbers up. We also have amazing numbers coming in from Pinal County. Pinal County, that used to be this small little farming community, is really starting to engage, and we're going to see a lot of growth in that northern part of Pinal County, which it is still considered quite affordable. Let's go straight to what the heck is going on in the market. Let me first explain to you how we measure the intenseness of the market. You need two sides of measure in order to dictate where we are as far as a buyer market or sales market. Here, in a very funny image, I'll tell you visually is the best way to understand it. Using the Cromford Market Index, which takes the market supply and the buyer demand, and it comes up with a proprietary number. That is called the Cromford Market Index. Anything below 90 of a market index number means it's a buyer's market. Anything over 110 is going to be a seller's market. So anything in between 90 and 110, that means it's a nice balanced market, which I'll be honest with you, I've been in the business 20 years, and this is probably one of the most balanced markets we have been in a very long time. There's some differences, though, in that there's not a lot of resale, and most of the people are gravitating towards the suburbs, like super suburbs, because of the new construction. And we're going to get to some of the amazing and fantastic opportunities that are being offered. Again, we haven't had a market like this before. You can never say, I've seen every single kind of market out there. It continues to always change and be different. What's different today, again, is that interest rate. The interest rate, not only because it's high today, but it was literally the world's low, I shouldn't say world's, it has been the lowest interest rate we ever did see in the history of mortgages just 5 years ago. So when you're talking about homeowners that have interest rate or mortgages in the 2%, they're saying, I don't care if I don't like my house, I like my mortgage payment, and they are staying put. And then the new buyers, the ones that are coming in, again, they're gravitating towards the newer construction, and we're seeing a lot more inventory online than we ever have before of the builder inventory. So it's just, again, the information you're trying to compilate and figure out yourself from Zillow and Redfin and Realtor.com. You don't have all the pieces to figure this all out. We, however, do. So let's go back to the market right now is right at about 110, 109. And honestly, my anticipation, that market index number is going to continue to drop. It's going to stay in between that 90 and 110 over the course of the year. What that means is that we're going to see moderate appreciation, probably along the same lines as inflation, which unfortunately is high. Sometimes it helps with the market. Here's the other thing, guys. If you're waiting for the market to drop, or if you're waiting for the crash, I hate to be the bearer of bad news and tell you it's already behind us. It was so small and it was so short that people didn't realize that that was the market bottom, and we're already back up. And again, this is why real estate is a long game, guys. It's not supposed to be a fast game. If you bought your home in May of 2021 and you sold your home in May of 2022, congratulations. You are one of the few that got in the perfect little window. Did you predict it? No. No one could have predicted that. COVID is really kind of what set that boom. And then with the interest rates is what that market correction was. So when you look, if you go back 3 years to where it was kind of normal, actually 4 or 5 years would be normal. But if you go back to even 2 years, May of 2021, you have seen a 17% appreciation. You might have lost a little bit of that extra money if you had sold in May of 23, but here's the thing. May of 22. But here's the thing, you've had a roof over your head and you probably have a really good mortgage payment. So don't beat yourself up too much for not selling at the peak of the market. All right. So when we look at break down each area in the greater Phoenix area and we look at the individual markets. So again, this is why, so when we see the greater Phoenix area, the median price is 460. Does that mean you can buy a home in Scottsdale in 460? No. Does it mean you can buy a home in Chandler at 460? Yeah, but it's probably not very nice. Can you buy a home in Levine for 460? Absolutely. And it's brand new and it's super nice and it's over 2,000 square feet and it's 4 bedroom, 3 bath. That's what I mean. Like every market is just a little bit different. When we look at each single city, and again, even within the city, it's different, but you can see the demand in not only Chandler and Gilbert. Boy, I'm losing my thought there. Chandler and Gilbert, but we still see it in some of the luxury communities, which I'll be honest with you, in May, it's usually cooled off in the luxury market. So it's interesting to know this is the highest amount of homes over $1 million under contract in the month of May than we've ever had before. So luxury is still very, very strong. It really does, they're not as interest rate sensitive. And so those markets are still extremely high. We're talking Scottsdale, we're talking Fountain Hills and Paradise Valley. Now, there are luxury homes in almost every single city, and that's one of the unique things about the Phoenix metro area is Scottsdale isn't the only luxury. It's all over. So you can buy luxury homes and you can buy, do I want to say you can buy affordable homes in every city? No, because I think Scottsdale really kind of, and Paradise Valley, it's no longer affordable. Like I'm just $1 million in Scottsdale, not very nice home. Just saying. It's just not. So again, every market is very, very different. And this is why you hopefully will be working with me because again, every single market, and because we work all over the Phoenix area, we have a pulse on what is going on in each market on a monthly basis because of the volume that we do and the diversity in the valley. We're not specialized just in one area. So again, understanding all these numbers on a monthly basis, and when you're ready to buy, give us a call. We'll talk a little bit more in depth about that area that you're looking for. Now, here is where I'm going to get to. Again, this market feels a lot like 2018, 2019. Chances are if you're relocating here, you have no idea what that even means. But when we look at the concessions and what does that mean? Also, many of you might be saying it means the seller or the builder, that would be one and the same, are offering the buyer some sort of assistance. This means either towards closing costs or additional money to buy down the rate. And there's so many loans out there right now as far as buying down rates. There's permanent buy downs, there's long-term, there's even ARMs that are coming back in. The 5-1 ARMs are definitely something you might want to consider, just as long as you understand the risk if interest rates didn't go down in a 5-year period of time. But I'm not here to talk about loans. My point is that there are so many people. In fact, I just saw this comment on one of my recent videos on my big channel that said 8%, no thanks. Well, I would agree. Who wants to buy a home at 8%? But if you're interested in possibly getting interest rates as low as 5.99, you should be talking to us. There are opportunities out there. Those are going to be new construction. But in the resale market, and that's what I have on this particular chart, showing that more than 44% of the homes that are selling on the resale market are providing seller concessions. And we've been able to get our buyers some great leveraging points. Again, repairs are being done. We even got a client with solar paid off. We have new roof being installed. We have concessions to buy down the rate, pay their closing costs. We got a VA buyer into a home last month for $450. That's all they came out of in their pocket. So it's super important that you give us a call again, so we can have these conversations, even if it might appear that it's just not within your wheelhouse right now. The biggest thing right now is taking advantage of those concessions. If I look at the map right now, if you look at the green, those are the areas that have fewer contracts that have concessions. Those are going to be all the resale areas, almost, okay? If you go to the blue areas, that's all the new construction. And again, that's where the majority of the activity that I want to recommend that you look at. And the reason I'm saying this is, here's the thing, guys, especially if this is your first time buying, or even if it's your first move up home, right? Maybe you're in a smaller home, a condominium, a townhouse, something like that, and you're really looking to maybe start your family. I know my son just bought a larger home to have a bigger family this last year, and new construction will give you the opportunity to do that. Some people are like, no way I'm not driving to Maricopa, no way I'm not driving to Buckeye. Here's the thing, guys, you got to give a little. I come from the Bay Area and I used to have a 45-minute drive to work. That was normal. We are becoming that. And when I say we, I mean the greater Phoenix area is becoming the new Silicon Desert. As we continue to grow and we'll see that million more people move here over the next 10 years, what do you think is going to happen to that appreciation, the value of the homes? Let me tell you, I remember once when Queen Creek was like way out there, and now people are like, I love Queen Creek. That's why you really need to reconsider those pros and cons. You can be at the mercy of a landlord or an apartment complex every year when they're going to raise their rents, or you can get into being a homeowner now and you can refinance down the road. I'm not going to say marry the house and date the rate, but I will say this. There are some builders that are offering permanent 30-year fixed rates at 5.99%. So there's great opportunities there that I am not, and again, my goal here is not to sell you to make you buy a house right now. It's to understand if you're buying right now, what to look at. And I'll say I'm not super thrilled at the resales. I don't like the way the sellers have been conveying the properties. They've been rather difficult, most of them anyways. That comes with the listing agent not preparing their seller. It gets a little frustrating for the buyer because I always tell people this, there's no such thing as a real estate police. So if a seller doesn't do it, the buyer's only recourse is to not close. And that gets really frustrating when the buyer's moving here from another another part of the country, and they're expecting to move in on this certain date. So again, these are all conversations we should have as early as possible if you haven't reached out to me, so that we can talk a little bit more about the market specifically in the area that you are looking for. Do not hesitate. Stay in contact with us. Give us a call, shoot us a text, send us an email. Days, nights, or weekends, we got your back when moving to Phoenix, Arizona. All right. Can't wait to hear from you. See you next month. Don't miss my videos. Bye.